Okay, welcome back again to my little darkened universe. Maybe I'll go buy a lamp or something. Um, I was watching my last video. What a weirdo, right? Watching myself. But, uh, and I noticed that maybe the message might get a little mixed up because I actually ran through this. When I started using the so-called science of enlightenment, I started avoiding happiness and, I guess, pleasure, basically, joy, out of fear of the balancing aspect that was going to come along with it. And I also went a little bit on a self-destructive path by constantly choosing negativity for growth and consciously, purposely going for what was going to hurt the most in order to get the greatest benefit. And both of these approaches, both of these, I guess, mind states, they serve their purpose. Actually, I got here, and this is where I wanted to be, and so there is no real right or wrong in this universe anyway. But I wanted to make it clear that you don't have to shy away from good things because they cost you something, or you don't have to hide away from what looks like a very fun or pleasurable experience due to a fear of what it's going to cost. And I mean like emotional cost or financial cost or any drawback or draw from that you would get from that situation. It's just a matter of the dualistic nature. It's always going to be there, and there's no way to run or escape. And no matter what you choose, it's ultimately going to serve your highest purpose, whether you're aware of it or not. So there's no right or wrong way to do anything, and even my opinions are going to be right for some others and wrong for some others. And that's what we're all here for, to share as much information as possible and get most of this puzzle figured out while we're here. But it's going to keep growing and expanding anyway with new perspectives. So might as well just have fun with it. But it's as simple as even being confident will attract criticism, and being shy will actually attract criticism as well. There's always an element of criticism and judgment as long as we have that in our own vibration as well. And I don't think that we can ever actually purify that, not by removal. If we all have a dualistic nature, we all have negative aspects. So when we experience these negative aspects in other people due to the mirror of consciousness, that reflective nature, it doesn't mean to go run, and it doesn't mean to abandon the situation necessarily. In some cases, for your survival, probably. But on an average, I guess, for most people, we don't have to play the game of avoidance, So I wanted to clear up that if something positive does come into your life, and something really good and amazing, something that you asked for, you've attracted in one way, accept that. If you feel that you align with it, then do accept that. And also know that in most cases, what you do accept is going to possibly change you, is going to be a call for action. What you accept, someone else might, judge you or criticize you for. Because the negativity and the positivity, they come in whatever form that we basically can understand the easiest, and on a superficial level. That's what superficial sort of is. It's a way to, I guess, dumb it down or simplify it so that we can grasp the idea if we have no other ideas about what we're actually experiencing. So, and the other point that I wanted to make was that if you're aware of this polar game, I guess, ahead of time, you won't become addicted to just getting things that you want, and you won't become resentful for constantly getting things that you think you don't want. So if you're aware that you're getting the whole thing, you're getting this awesome moment or person or thing or event or whatever it is, that there is an underlying dark aspect. And that underlying dark aspect also has a benefit, and that benefit also has a drawback. It's the yin and the yang, the white does contain the black spot, and that's one half of the situation, while the black also contains the white spot, which is the other half. And if you have a whole unity awareness, which I can openly admit that I don't always have at the moment. That's another thing. When we're watching our spiritual leaders or our role models giving their perspective, we often infatuate with the idea that that is who they are all the time. And then we compare ourselves to what it is that we're looking at, and we go, I want to be enlightened like that, and I want to live like that, and I want to have that life, and if I can think the same way and I feel still imperfect, how are these guys doing it? How did they reach that state of perfection? And here's a clue. They didn't. They're just merely aware of what makes them perfect. And so when they're off camera or they're off, is this a confessional? So when they're off camera and they're living their normal lives, they're still going to have their reactions. They're still going to be aware of their reactions. They're still going to express some sort of negativity in one way or another. They are still human. And we often idolize people based on what we think they are like all the time, based on how we've seen them all the time. So you might see someone online that is just like blowing your mind constantly, just like, wow, like I want to get to that state. That if you do that enough times, you will subconsciously go into the assumption that that is who they are 100% of the time, because that's the way you've seen them 100% of the time. And then often that infatuation, when you actually meet that person, you suddenly see them flip out into a rage and you go, oh, you don't know anything. That's the lesson. That awareness of their negativity was there and placed to bring into balance your perspective and your assumptions of this fellow human being. And when you can appreciate that both sides of that person exist within a person, just like every other human being, and you can see that and accept it in its entirety, then you're closer to loving that person for who they are and what they really mean and what they mean to you. And it's really hard to do that if you haven't done it for yourself. So we often have to look at our own lives, which we are anyway, whether we meditate inward or if we project outwards. We're always getting back the truth, in a sense. So as we go ahead and, hey, I'm blue now. That's cool. I'm like Krishna consciousness or something. That was awful. Jesus. No, now I'm Jesus consciousness. Okay. Well, I don't even know what's happening. Anyway, whether we project outwards or inject inwards, maybe I'll use that word. What we're getting is a reflection of our belief systems and our habits and the whole thing that makes up our so-called personality. And I'm going to ramble about that because I like that word. Your personality can be seen as nothing more than everything you've ever experienced up until this point and your interpretations of it. This is why two people can live in the same conditions and come out completely different based on how they've chosen to interpret and define their experience. So if I went through, and I would need a lot more than a couple of minutes to tell you about the many different experiences I've experienced. Even my own mother told me, I'm surprised you're not a psychopath. And I told her, what makes you think I'm not a psychopath, actually? But she actually said, due to all the things that you've been through, with and without me, I'm surprised that you didn't come out as some sort of damaged human being. And I thought that was meanly honest. But somehow my personality has come out to be, I think, rather gentle and playful, sometimes forceful. I'm still a man and human and all that stuff. And somehow out of all that, I still focus on loving the whole picture, the whole thing. And I don't have to look back at my past and pick the things that I don't like and then react and form my personality based on that. Because this often happens. We're building our personality based on our expectations and projections and interpretations of what has happened up until this moment. And then we often forget that every single non-connected moment that we are experiencing, we can choose something different. If you can slow down your sense of time almost when something happens and choose what it means to you, this will help form the personality that you want. And if we're not conscious of how these things, if we're not conscious of how we are choosing to interpret our experiences, then we end up with a lot of people that say things like, this is not my life, or this is not me, or this is not who I am. And the truth is, none of this is who you are. You're just an essence. All of this is just this. That is. That's it. And then you can choose how to define what that is for you based on what it is you want to feel. We can choose our feelings. We can choose anything, basically. It's all here for us to greater expand and understand our own love. And yeah, so I was watching my video, and I thought I would just, I guess, highlight, maybe that's why I'm blue, that when good things come, enjoy them and love that, because it's a blessing, you know. And when bad things come, enjoy that as well, and that's also a blessing. It's just wearing a mask, basically, or we're putting a mask on it even. And just know that whether good things or bad things are coming, they're not good or bad. It's only merely our interpretations and projections on them. So you could say that things are just happening. I made a joke a long time ago with a friend of mine. We were discussing this. And basically, the truest response to any situation is that happened. That's it. Like, when you really look at the polar nature of situations and our abilities to polarize and unify our experiences, before we get into the process, the thinking process or the consciousness processing of our environment, the truest, so it would seem, the truest response is, that happened. And then the next step is, how do I feel about that? And if I feel good about that, then I must be thinking positively, looking at the benefits of the situation. Do I feel bad about that? Then I'm looking at only the negatives. But if you go, how do I feel about that? That happened. And this is love. I want to feel love. Then I will see it for the whole thing and see how that's serving me in my highest power. And and yeah, so that happened. This happened, and I turned blue. That happened as well. And so enjoy your day that is or is not happening. You get to decide. And I hope that cleared things up a bit. I'm going to do another video on, where's my notebook? On this little chart that I made. Maybe I can explain it, because it's sort of the thought process of how it's like a recipe, you know, on how to handle situations if you choose to try it this way. Because it's really hard to come up with a methodology or a system or even just a form of information in one way or another that doesn't appear to be like I'm pushing it. So yeah, I'll see if I do that. We'll see if that happens. And so, happy Thanksgiving, and enjoy the rest of your day. Enjoy the rest of your life. Enjoy the moment. Enjoy, I guess.